Alrighty, folks. G'day, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome along to another IFTA, which I'm sure by now you know is Insights from the Isles, with myself, David Shukri, and my erstwhile co-pilot, Andrew Arnold. Hello, mate. How are you?
Good, mate. How you doing?
Absolutely terrific. Absolutely terrific. I'm just watching all the names coming in now. A lot of familiar names. Hello, Jono. Good to see you. Michael. Nancy, good to see you on this. Nancy, terrific. Recognise
Oh,
that name.
Nancy on.
Nancy's on. Yeah, we've got a couple of Nancys actually. Nancy Commons and Nancy Truscott. Terrific to have you all here as always. Hope you've got a little something with you. Got a little coffee here. Maybe stick it in the chat. What are you drinking this morning? As I take a little sip. We've also got a really incredibly diverse audience today. So please get your fingers warmed up. Stick it in the chat. Are you in NZ today? Are you in AU? Are you somewhere else? Are you somewhere more exotic than that? Tanya, our first AU, got NZ, Arshad, terrific. Jody, hello, Jody. Oh my God, there's so many, I can't keep up. Bobby, NZ, terrific. Haven't seen anything different yet. Anybody not in Australia or New Zealand? Have we got any internationals? Truly not that New Zealand isn't international, but you know what I mean. Hendra is in Sydney, terrific. Hopefully, if you are in Sydney, you're enjoying some slightly more spring-like weather this morning. Anyway, as I said, really diverse audience. We've got a huge array of suppliers. We've got a huge array of retailers on the line this morning. Thank you. And I want to say a big thank you for everyone coming back. If you've been on one of these before, we've been running these, Andrew. We were trying to work out, I think this is our fifth, sixth one of these. So
Yeah, something like that.
something like that. We've been doing them quarterly for a good chunk of time now. And if you're coming back again, that's a great sign because it gives us the indication that you're liking it, you're enjoying it, you're getting some value from it. If you're an existing client, customer of ours, fantastic. I hope this gives you some ideas of things that we can help you with. If you're not, and you want to have a chat with us, that's terrific as well. If you're not and you're just coming because you enjoy the chat and you enjoy the insights, that's terrific as well. It's all good. It's really about, and we saw this, didn't we, Andrew, last session? It's about creating a community and having some sharing of ideas. There's a huge amount of experience out there. Obviously, Andrew and I spend our days looking at these numbers and obviously looking at stores, but there's a whole load of people out there that have got a lot of experience as well. So the theme for today, we're going to jump in very quickly in just a sec, is standing out from the crowd. Andrew and I have been fortunate enough to have some interesting travels over the last 3 months. Andrew's got some more interesting travels coming up, and I'm sure that might feature in 3 months' time on our
Oh,
session.
it might. It might.
I'm feeling it might. But that's all to look forward to. However, for now, standing out from the crowd, as I say, lots of great stuff that we've seen. We've had some posts that we've put out there on LinkedIn that had a phenomenal amount of traction, lots of comments, lots of reposts, lots of engagement. I would love very quickly, before we do jump in and I hand over to you, Andrew, to start off with a question. We were talking just before this about how there are many different financial years out there. So you may well not be on a July to June version of that, but I know a lot of people will. So if you have ticked into a new financial or not, just wanted to launch this question and get a bit of a temperature check. So how do you feel about your prospects for the year ahead? You're going to smash it? Do you think you're going to struggle? Is it going to be another tough year? Or do you think you're going to squeeze through, you're going to squeak through, just about hit the numbers, just about hit what you need? I'm going to leave that running and we'll come back to that in just a moment. But now I'm going to hand over to you, Double A. And where are we going? We're going somewhere a bit chilly, first off.
Yeah, well, it's a bit chilly over here today. Got to be fair. Yeah, we are going somewhere a bit chilly to begin with, and that is the frozen part of the store. So the thing about the frozen aisle and also the chilled aisle as well is it's very, very hard in many respects to get that visibility, to be able to get people to do something impulsive, to get people to do something different in this space. And there's natural reasons why that is the case. Now, the obvious reason behind that is that these things are in fridges, they're in freezers, so they're either indoors or or they're in coffin chillers, or whatever, however you describe the lower ones with the push open drawers on doors on them. So there's natural disadvantages to being in this kind of location in order to actually get people to notice what you're going to do to stand out. And I did note in this particular post that if you sort of take this sort of example of this part of the store, contrast this with the natural inbuilt advantages that things like fruit and vegetables have, or even things like meat have, or things of that nature. They're able to be out in the open. They're able to be seen very easily. There's lots of colors and things that can pull people in. The smells can sometimes bring people in. Like, for example, fresh baking, or the smell of fruit, or whatever it might be. So to actually do something in this space to stand out is something to be applauded, and that's why this caught my eye, because this to me was a brilliant example of using the limitations that you have within a category. And that's a big thing about this, right? Is that we all have limitations, whatever category that we happen to be dealing in, whatever part of the store we happen to be living in, there are limitations to what we can do. It's about working in with what we actually are able to have as our canvas. And that particular example, which actually just popped off the screen, David, I'm not sure what's happened there.
I just took it off because I wanted to put the spotlight on you, mate, because you were
Oh, you
saying some
did?
good
Oh,
stuff.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, love it, love it. The thing about this is that this category has used their limitations and done it in such a brilliant way to get people to actually see it. Now, the thing about frozen convenience meals is that it's a highly impulsive category. So people are not thinking about it necessarily pre-store. They might be thinking about the occasion that they're buying them for, i.e. dinner, or in some cases maybe even lunch, right? But they're not necessarily thinking about the actual category itself. It's a solution to a problem. So getting people to notice the category is one of the biggest hurdles that the category has to actually being shopped effectively. And doing that, to my mind, was an excellent way of actually drawing attention to something which might be quite difficult in the normal scheme of things to be seen.
Yeah. I will put it back up again because I was going to ask you a question about it in particular, but is it back up? You can,
yeah, it's back up.
So, it's a good point. You know what? This is the first category I bought for Sainsbury's in the UK for frozen ready meals many years ago. And all the things that you've just said really resonated. Actually, it wasn't that long ago prior to that stores had moved frozen out to the back of the store. It used to be in the middle many years ago, but that was decided that wasn't a great place if you were buying frozen stuff, and it all sort of defrosted before the end of your trip. However, what I was going to ask you was this an isolated example in that frozen run of a little bit of theatre and a little bit of attention, or were there some other stuff to the left, to the right?
So it's simply, this was the only example. This is the only example. Now, in other banners, there were a couple of other things that were going on. So this particular picture was taken in a New World in Woolworths. There were some other activations that were happening at the same time, but not many. But particularly in this particular store, this was the only thing.
So you got high impulsivity, you've got opportunity to draw attention in this particular category, and you've even got a little try me up in the top left-hand corner there.
And I love my try-me's.
Were you tempted?
Oh, very much so. But then again, I actually buy some of that stuff anyways as a regular occurrence because the kids love the butter chicken one, for example. But this isn't about my purchasing habits in this category. This is about the general shopper purchasing habits, which are not that you buy them on a frequent basis or habitual. That you're very much likely to be in a mind of, oh, there it is, and I grab it. Which is why doing what they did, what Kraft did there, was just really, really great to see. Because, like I said, every category in the store has limitations around what it can do because of the space that it's in, because of where it's located, because of how it's actually set up and set out and laid out and so on. So making the best use of the limitations of the category, I think, is a great example of how to do it.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, the other thing you notice when you look at a frozen aisle is it's from one end to the other, it can often be quite hard to pick out where the segment or where the category actually sits in that run, right? And so you're looking up and down.
Because a glass door reflects light. So if you're standing at the end of a bank of glass doors, it's often very, very hard to actually see where one category starts and the other one finishes. So again, putting something on the door like that, and it's not covering the whole door, it's just around the edge, but it's done in a really, really smart way. And in the Woolworths example, that I didn't actually get a photo of, but someone actually put in the comments was they actually had a 4 decal there as well. So it's just another way of just bringing the attention to the category.
Now, I was looking for some parallels or some opportunity to compare or contrast with Australia. This was an interesting one. There weren't those similar high scores actually sticking out for frozen ready meals in Australia. There are some relatively high scores and things that differentiate certain categories, but it's really much more around desserts, frozen seafood here in Australia. On the impulsivity or the unplanned side of things, it's frozen desserts rank 31st most unplanned category. So imagine this, but translate it into then your desserts. And that's followed up by a strong desire for better signage in frozen desserts, ranks 34 on that. And that really ties in perfectly with what we were just discussing, how difficult it can be to pick where that thing is. And if you've made it all the way back to the back of the store and you know that desserts is relatively impulsive, then there's a conversation to be had that says, hang on, we also know we need better signage. And also number 36 for desserts, 38 for chicken on better theatre. A little bit like this, but how can you make it interesting? How can you make it enrich the experience and enliven the experience within, as you said, Andrew, the constraint of a frozen environment? Those are the areas where you need to do it in Australia in particular. I'm going to flash up something else just very quickly because as an example that I'm going to show in a minute, which is from the UK. I just came back from the family holidays. I'm sure a lot of people did. Anyone else out there just come back from the pilgrimage to Europe? Stick it in the chat. Let us know where you went. And there's some really interesting stuff that I saw over there. Very, very different market to what we have over here. So in line with what you've seen there, Andrew, I just want to flash this one up really quickly if I can get my head around what I'm trying to do here. I've got too many screens open. So I'm going to flick here. I'm going to go and see if I can show you. Here we go. Right. Here we go. Now this was in Sainsbury's, and I'm gonna call on some things I saw in Sainsbury's in a minute, but this was like your example, but on steroids. In a supercenter, hypermarket equivalent, very, very much a flagship store for Sainsbury's. And this was about 12 foot, 12 meters, probably even, never mind feet of ice cream turned into this ice cream parlor type of activation. This almost sort of notion of shop in shop really stood out. I haven't seen anything as extensive as that, going from one end of the run to the other, and really just trying to elevate ice cream to something else experientially. Have your own opinions and perspectives on it. What do you think of that, Andrew?
Oh, I absolutely love that. Well, I love ice cream anyway, but that's the sort of thing that you think about how a shopper is shopping this type of category. It's quite an impulsive category. If you're calling attention to it in this manner, you are going to capture the majority of those impulsive shopping occasions. Because how could you not fail to, or how could you fail to miss this? That's basically what my point would be.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I love this. I love this.
And so, especially with those numbers that I called out for Australia in particular, may not necessarily be the same in New Zealand. But this is the whole essence, really, of why we pick out the things that we do, is because it's not a question of every single person on the line piling into to every retailer and going, we need this, we need more stuff on the shelf. It's about picking the ones where it really counts and heroing in those areas. So there we go on that one. Right, on to the next one. I'm just going to, again, sort my... I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll end the poll as well first, and we'll just have a quick look at that. Stick that up. So how do you feel about your prospects for the year ahead? So the majority of you hedging your bets, I'd say, going to squeeze through 60% of you. Okay, all right, fair enough. Hopefully it gets better. We may be early days in the year. 16% of you feel you're going to struggle. And actually 1 in 4, good quarter if you think that you're going to smash it. So good for you. I hope you do. Hopefully we can help whichever of those buckets you put yourself in today. There's no doubt about the fact that making your stories and your conversations with your training partners as shopper orientated as possible is going to help. No debate over that, I don't think, from anyone on this call. It adds a new dimension, adds another dimension to your conversation. Now, if you are in that squeeze through category, I would double down on that and say, hey, reach out to us. If you're not already talking to us, have a chat. See if there's something that we can reveal, we can uncover about your category that maybe you're not doing at the moment, an opportunity, some white space. Give us a shout. See if we can help with it. Okay.
And before you just get started on your bit, David, I did
Mm.
see a comment come up there from Ben. So
Oh yeah.
everybody, please feel free to jump in, give us some comments, start a conversation in the chat. But I do want to just answer and just add to that comment that Ben's made there, which around the ice cream parlor doing a true category job for the store as opposed to Wo's example. And yes, absolutely. And I've got an example coming up actually where it's just more of a category option. So there's obviously extremes and there's differences between whether it's a category-led thing or a brand-led thing. But it is important to note as well that in frozen convenience meals in New Zealand, it is a very brand-led category as well, because shoppers have brands in mind when they actually do end up shopping, and they are very unlikely to switch into different brands. They're much more likely to stay within the brand and switch into different flavors. So the Waddies led piece of it actually does work for this category, but granted, it's not a category led example because there are obviously other doors there. So it's a good call out, good point, worthy of a little bit of clarification too.
Yeah. Now that you've drawn my attention to those comments, there are some others in there actually as well. Cecile, I do like this question. What's a frozen festival? Can't see much in it for the shopper to help them choose that brand over another. Fair challenge, fair challenge. What do you reckon?
Well, a frozen festival is basically every day in winter in New Zealand at the moment because it's so freaking cold.
Yeah, okay. I think she's got a good point there, though, Cecile, about, well, the activation, good, drawing attention, but what does it mean to someone, you know?
Yeah. And I'm not a marketer, so I'm not going to pass comment on that, but yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, all right. Now, I can see somebody has got their hand up, and I hope you're okay, but I can't quite see who it is. So we're going to move on. Maybe stick something in the chat if you're having trouble with anything. Maybe Andrew.
Bobby, it is very cold where I am right now.
Harden up. It's not that cold. Yeah, Andrew, come on. God's sake,
Yeah,
put yourself
sorry.
together. All right. Now, enough of that. Let's move on. So, number 2, I promised a few people in liquor that we were going to go into liquor and show you something interesting. Now, I'm doing the rounds at the moment with our off-premise State of the Nation, and I've used this image, and I obviously stuck this on LinkedIn not so long ago. Andrew has an interesting inflection on this one from a New Zealand perspective, which is fascinating, but I'd love to recap a couple of important things that are going on specifically in liquor in Australia right now, because I strongly believe from the evidence that we see from our 20,000 strong shopper survey, shopper panel, continuous survey of shoppers every month and every week of every year, that there's opportunities being missed. The first and most important thing that I've been calling out in the State of Nation, which we've seen from that 20,000 group of shoppers, is that we've seen shifts in what's important to that shopper, to the off-premise shopper. Price and fixed price have both decreased, I should say, have decreased in importance in the last 12 months. Now, they haven't catapulted into insignificance, but they have decreased slightly in importance. By contrast, what has increased in importance are things like authenticity, so product authenticity. What's the story behind it? What's the provenance? How was it made? Health and healthy choices. And number 3, enjoyment, by which we mean an enjoyable shop, going into the store and finding that experience to be enjoyable. And why I think this is so important, I've called it out in the State of the Nation, is because it isn't about throwing price and value out with the baby and the bathwater. It's just about recognizing that there are these subtle shifts. Not every shopper on every occasion, on every mission, and in every category is solely focused on price. There are other things that are coming back into the mix, and those differentiators like authenticity and enjoyment are some of them. Another thing that we've seen is a big shift towards more occasion-based shopping. Now, this has ebbed and flowed a little bit over the last 4 or 5 years, as a general trend, we see more shoppers in the off-premise moving towards having a specific occasion in mind, as opposed to, let's say, general stock up or what you might call everyday drinking. And one particular thing to note, and you might want to cite this when you're out in the field, but this is the first time that an under 34 shopper on average has said they're more likely to be planning around a particular meal than they are around general stock up in liquor. First time. So about one in four under 34s will be planning for a particular meal, and that's more for the first time than general stock up. So this implies the need for significant shifts and changes in the way that we communicate pre-store, as well as the way that you're communicating in store. And that's what leads me to this example. Just stood out to me. I don't see a lot of event-based marketing pre-store, certainly not in a bus stop like this. You got the connection with the massive sporting event, the State of Origin, a key category to be connecting with occasion, by the way. And it really stood out. And I like what was going on there. The interesting thing was when I went into store then, 2 or 3 or 4 different stores, I couldn't see this. I couldn't see easily the connection, the joining of the dots all the way through to shelf, which seemed to be a missed opportunity. It could have just been circumstance. I did only have a look in 3 or 4 stores, but I couldn't see how this activation was followed all the way through to store. So that would be something to discuss. And the last thing I was going to mention on here, if you're going to go and talk about the particular occasion and specific occasions in liquor, who wants to have a shout? What's the number one most occasion-based category out there? Stick in the chat. Number one is pretty easy. What do you think? Sorry, category. Sorry, I meant category. Your great occasion, yes, but the category that's most associated with occasion. Yeah, okay. Confect, chips, snacks. We've got the first one: sparkling wine, RTDs, desserts. We've got a good mix of different categories. You have a good occasion with this stuff. Beer, okay, thank you. So on the liquor side, it's champagne. Interesting. Number 2 is tequila. Number 3 is ready-to-drink liqueurs. Ready-to-drink gin is number 4, and Pinot Noir comes in at 5, interestingly enough. So what have we got there, Emily? The 1 in 4 statistic, is that only in relation to alcohol sales? So that's specifically off-premise shoppers in Australia. Yeah, that's right. Purchasing in Dan's, BWS, Bottom-Art, etc., etc., etc. So Andrew, your thoughts? You've got a different perspective, I think, on that. As I stop sharing.
Well, I wouldn't say a different perspective. It's just that the perspective I have on this is that, and this we say this all the time, is that New Zealand and Australia are different markets. So one of the biggest mistakes that anybody, either a supplier or a retailer, can make is that the New Zealand and the Australian shopper are the same, that they do the same things, that they think the same things, and they associate this with that and that with this. They don't. And this is a perfect example of that, because very clearly, and that category there is RTD bourbon. That category is quite clearly associated with sporting occasions in Australia. Now, I did a little check and on that very metric in New Zealand about buying for a sporting occasion, and RTD bourbon is at the very bottom of that list in New Zealand.
Interesting.
So there is basically zero correlation between sport and RTD bourbon in New Zealand. But at the top of the list is RTD rum. So that same advert was done, and hopefully was in a Queensland livery, not a New South Wales livery, because boo. That if I put RTD rum in there, it would go gangbusters, because that is far and away the most associated category with sport in New Zealand from a liquor point of view. Yeah, I know. New South Wales. I've supported Queensland since 1990. You're right. So, okay, fine. Yeah, we lost. Good. Get it out there. Come on. Get out there.
Do you know Bobby Lowe, Andrew? He seems to be gunning for you today.
Oh, look, yeah. All I can say is 8 straight through the 2000s and 2010s. There we go. I'm done. The last thing I just would like to point out too, as well, is that's an out of home advertisement. The top liquor category in New Zealand in grocery is actually cider on that score, in terms of that kind of advert triggering someone to do something. It's the top liquor category is cider. It's actually number 2 overall. So
Okay.
again, it's a different mindset, different type of category mix.
The other shift, one of the other shift that we've wholesale. I hope my connections are right. It's getting and saying it's gone a bit. Can you hear me, Andrew?
Yeah, you're breaking up a wee bit, but you're frozen on the screen, but we can still hear you, sort of. Oh, looks like David has dropped off. David will do the best he can to come back in a second. I think he's coming back in now. There he is. Yep, he's back.
Here we go. Don't panic.
Don't worry, I was slightly because you've got all the bells and whistles over there.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that, folks. The NBN just dropped out. Hopefully, we'll be okay. Let's keep going. So where was I? Occasions. Yes, coming to store. So a big increase in demand for improvements at shelf in off-premise liquor in Australia. So yes, this is what my point I was raising. Do good stuff, link with the occasion, link with the usage, connect with your audience pre-store. But then we've got to have these conversations around how we're going to make this work in store, how we're going to liven up the shelf, how we're going to straighten out layouts. Big increase in requests for better layouts, clearer layouts, more concise layouts, easier to shop layouts. And this other thing that I talked about, enjoyment, expressed in the form of a desire for more theatre. Now, again, it's not about spraying stuff all over every single aisle. It's absolutely about picking the categories where that's going to count most and then going and activating on that to enrich in the right places and not cause confusion, frustration, aggravation. Okay, going to keep going while the going is good. And where are we going now? Disco drinks. Oh, where are we? Here we go. A little bit of disco drinking.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
Here we go.
Right, so we go from one extreme to the other, basically, with this. So Frozen Festival, one door, quite a small activation as opposed to this, which is quite a substantial activation at the very far end of the spectrum. Now, full disclosure, I worked for Red Bull for about 7 years. So I actually played a reasonable role in getting energy zones out into stores back in the decade or so ago. There's not very many of them left anymore. This was one which I actually thought had been taken out when I was in a visit in South Auckland a few weeks ago. This was in Pack and Save Manukau, and I was pleasantly surprised to see it still there. I've got to be honest. And the great thing about something like this is that it catches your eye. It absolutely 100% catches your eye. It is also a category solution because there is category competitive products. There's not just Red Bull in there as well. There's an entire fridge there devoted to frugal. Yes, okay, the majority of the product that's on there is Red Bull. That's absolutely fine, but because now they paid for it, and it's their logo, it's their signage and everything else. But there is frugal product in there as well. I really like this kind of thing because, again, we're talking about a category which is very, very impulsive. And in the world being impulsive, it relies on chilled availability for people to buy it, to consume straight away. So absolutely love this kind of scenario that goes out there. I don't feel there is enough of this kind of thing going on. And it doesn't have to be a Red Bull energy zone, although, considering I worked for them for quite some time, I still like seeing these types of things out there. But if it's not an energy drinks energy zone, what else could it be? Every store has some kind of chilled fridge, either at the checkouts, obviously, or a category fridge somewhere else in the store. How could it be dressed up? How could it actually have something done to it, a la like the ice cream parlor example from Sainsbury's that can just grab people's attention, say, hey, you want a cold drink? They're over here. And that's exactly what this does.
Mm, mm. Is this again just a question, and the Kiwis on the line will know the answer to this, but for the benefit of others, is this the sort of activation that you get from this retailer? Is it standard, or is this something that's above and beyond even for them?
Oh, this is definitely above and beyond pack and save. You don't tend to see stuff like this very much at all.
Mm,
Which is again why I was surprised it was still there, because I knew it was there because it was something that I was a part of getting in there, not in that specific store, but the concept. I was part of actually getting that into stores, a decade ago.
mm.
So for it to still be there was quite surprising for me, but a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
And,
And
and again, full disclosure, right? Full disclosure, I do not expect everybody to suddenly be able to go out and do something like that, because that is expensive, that's big, there's a lot of footprint, there's a lot of logistics involved in there. So I'm not advocating everybody go out and try and get your own type of energy zone into a store, but it's more about how do you actually make better use of the space that you do have available to you to actually make an impact to catch people's eye. You could
mm,
not fail to see this when you walked in the front of that
mm,
store.
mm. No, 100%, 100%. And I'm sure, again, those of you who are regular joiners of Insight from the Isles will understand, we're flashing up things that have caught our attention, trying to associate it with some data, whether it does or doesn't correlate with the massive data set that we have at our fingertips. But it's also about showing the art of the possible. And in this case, of course, we're talking about standing out. So if you haven't spotted it in the chat, by the way, if you're interested, Nancy has chucked in the top 6 categories on the measure we call buy because I feel like it. So spend driving opportunity there for Australia. And you see iced tea, chilled drinks, energy drinks at number 3. Interesting, actually, some other high scorers, not necessarily again on the topic that or the angle that you were coming from, Andrew, which shows you how differently these two markets actually are. But we do see 92 on impulse. So I bought it unplanned, not relatively modest on that middle of the road. But you got a 13 rank of 13 for often buy extra. So this is about promoting in store. Now I know there'll be difference between main aisle and different spaces of pieces of space, front of store, main aisle, etc., etc. But nevertheless, as a category, 13 for that measure, 16th for a desire to see improved availability on key products in energy drinks, which I find interesting as well in Australia. And what else? 22. So to rank a 22 for improved signage, interestingly enough, because you call out this, I mean, that's some pretty powerful signage, right?
Yeah.
And that I think ties in a few areas where we're seeing these opportunities. And this is something that if you're a retailer on this call and you're looking for those opportunities to differentiate, yes, of course, there's massive price message got to be out there. There's got to be value. There's got to be offers and deals. But if you're looking at these numbers and you're saying, right, how can I work with my suppliers to do something different and stand out within the context of good value? Then these are the sorts of angles that you're looking for. Where are shoppers looking for theatre? Where are they looking for authenticity messages? Where are they looking for more information? Where are they looking for better signage? These are all opportunities to go back to your business and say, hey, look, we need to do something different here because this is going to be the cherry on the cake. This is going to be the cream on the top. We don't throw the baby out with the bathwater on price, but we look and we see and we differentiate where can we add something to the total experience for shoppers in our store. And obviously from a brand perspective, you're thinking holistically, you're thinking about category. And then you're looking at, well, where does our brand over index on some of these things? And we can paint a really powerful picture by saying signage, yeah, great. And when you buy our brand, you've got another 2, 3, 4% opportunity on top of that.
And 2 more points I just want to real quickly make. Firstly,
Go,
because you mentioned price in there, David,
yeah.
that picture, that entire energy zone had no special price tickets on it whatsoever. So
Mm.
everything that was being sold on in that location was being sold at normal shelf retail.
Mm.
Now,
Mm.
again, I don't know what the promotional program looks like for energy drinks and pack and save at the moment, so don't quote me on that. But maybe that was just absolutely 100% because of the time that I was there, the week that I was there. So there may well be some stuff like that. But that was really great for me. That it was trying to get people to buy based on brand affinity, based on need, and all that kind of stuff. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that you can have a little bit of fun with this kind of thing because there was some signage on that on the energy zone, which was the
Mm.
Pack and Save stick man, for example. And I don't know if anybody noticed it, but if you want to bring it back up again, David, I
Oh
didn't
yeah,
notice it the first time.
yeah.
Someone else actually noticed it in the comments and actually pointed it out. But it's subtle, but it's having a bit of fun with it, right? On the
Yeah.
aisle board above the energy zone, it doesn't say energy drinks; it says dance floor with an arrow pointing down towards the energy zone. So that is a perfect example of just adding a little bit of an extra touch of theatre to a
Yeah.
category that might otherwise not be treated that same way in other stores.
Lovely. Okay. All right, folks. A few minutes to go. One other thing I was going to stick in here, and it's another quick poll, again, just to see how you feel, because we flash up these things, and I don't want anyone to think that we think that this is easy. We've both been in industry and we recognize the challenges, but we are interested to get your perspective on this, and I'd love to know if your insights pointed to a change of direction. If your insights that you have in your business suggest that you should do something different, will you push for what you believe? Will you push for that? So three options here. Yep, you got to have courage in this game. You got to have courage in your convictions, and you got to stick by the information that you're getting. No, it's not worth rocking the boat. It's not worth it. Or maybe the more circumspect option sometimes, but you got to pick your battles. So what do you think? We'll leave that open for a couple of minutes as well. And I've been really excited to show you this one because it probably was the highlight of my trip. Well, from a store visit perspective, anyway. Let's not say that I didn't enjoy my time with my family,
Yeah, I was
but
about to say you almost got yourself really in trouble there.
yeah. So let me just sort of temper that. But it was the highlight from a store perspective. Now, hang on a second, because this is where I've got so many damn windows open, I can't see the wood for the trees. So I just got to try and sort this out. Here we go. That'll probably just do it. So Sainsbury's, London Colney, which is in Hertfordshire. If you happen to be there, or if you've been there, maybe chuck it in the chat. Let us know what you think of it as well. This is where that ice cream parlor shot came from. I have a whole bunch of images from here, and there were some things that really stood out. Yes, in the middle there was a very strong play on value and price.
No
Okay.
picture, David.
Beg pardon?
No picture.
Oh, that's weird. Okay. Thanks for highlighting that. What's going on then? Here we go.
There we go.
Okay. All right. Good job. Thank you, mate. So, as I was saying, really strong focus on value right in the middle there. Played out in the form of deals, but also in the form of the Audi price match. You will have your own beliefs and opinions about that. I think it can be it can be a risky game to go down that path, but I saw a lot of Aldi and Lidl price matching going on in the UK right now because Aldi and Lidl are doing exceptionally well and they're stealing a lot of share. So that explains that. But beyond that, what stood out was these phenomenal displays, these phenomenal collaborations with brands. Through the entryway, there's a lot of space in this store, and they had two or three of these kind of things. This one's some sort of thing that Ed Sheeran is doing. I don't know if we have anything like that down here. I saw Mr. Beast not so long ago in one of our retailers here in Australia. But wow, this created massive, massive impact. Obviously, there's a huge cost to this sort of stuff on this kind of scale. But wow, honestly, I saw with feeling and sense than the average store. I walked into produce. Produce was phenomenal. Beautiful signage again, great fresh cues. And then on into chilled and into core grocery, where you see a lot of this sort of like this signage in collaboration with specific brands. One thing it suggests to me when I see this sort of stuff, and I commented and some people agreed on this point, is the idea that this stuff is not easy to do. This stuff does take time, effort, money, commitment. And so it tends to indicate just really good relationships between retailer and supplier and vice versa. And at least if performance is anything to go by, Sainsbury's results at the moment do seem to bear out the fact that they are enjoying a good wind at the moment. They're enjoying some good trade. Their market share is up, only marginally less than Tesco, who's number one in the UK, but Sainsbury's at number two, having a very good run at the moment. And it was evident in this store. Clearly got some good relationships going with their partners, clearly have a good perception of where they sit in the market. And they're not afraid, as I showed with that ice cream parlor example earlier, they're not afraid to break out of the norms and do something different in different categories. So if you get a chance to go there, check it out. I'm just going to check the messages whilst I've scanned down here. What are your thoughts, Andrew, on that?
Yeah, I mean, this is a very, very interesting uh, display there, especially the was it Tingly Teds? Is that what it says? Tingly Teds? The source one, anyway.
Mm,
You don't
mm.
tend to see that kind of level of activation in either Australia or New Zealand. You really don't. And except at peak times, like for example Easter, there's a good example where you do sometimes see sort of things like this. I really like the fact that whoever's done this has just gone full bore on it. It's absolutely brilliant in that respect. I'm not 100% sure that I'm not a marketer, all right? I'm not 100% sure I agree with the tagline that it's the ketchup of hot sauce. Kind of makes it translate like they're dumbing it down a wee bit. But look, again, I won't argue the toss on that. That's a decision that they made. But it just goes to show that there's a lot of things that are happening overseas that you can learn from. And when I say overseas, I mean outside of Australia and New Zealand that you can learn from, and then you can take some pointers on and see, can I do something similar down here, or can I bring that concept that similar down here when I'm talking to the retailers in this part of the world.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
And I also have opinions when it comes to price matching as well, but again, I won't go there.
Another time, perhaps as we come to the end. What I will do is flash this up, so we'll share this poll result just so you can see. So 50% of people saying in response to the question, if your insights point to a change of approach, will you push for what you believe? I think that's really encouraging. 50% of people saying yes, you have to have courage and you have to drive for what you believe in this game. And the balance really saying, yeah, sometimes so the more pragmatic, the more balanced approach, should we say, maybe you have to pick your battles. And look, again, as I said before, whether you happen to work with us currently or you have in the past, you're considering it in the future or not, it's definitely worth having this shopper lens on the ideas and the strategies and the proposals that you're putting on the table, because typically what we have reported to us is it makes it that much more powerful when you're going into that room, when somebody's sitting opposite you who's got a bunch of different challenges on their plate as well. When you hook it back up to their shopper, it does make a massive difference. One other thing I was going to add, any final comments from you, Andrew, before I wrap up with something that I was going to offer to everyone on the call today?
No, all I will say is that you're seeing the full gamut from the extreme of wow, this is huge, to something which is a lot smaller in terms of making use of the space that you've got available to you. There's a reason why we've done that. The reason why we've shown things from one extreme to the other is that most people will fall somewhere between those two extremes. So the key thing about this really is just start thinking about what other things that you could do within the constraints that your category has, whatever those constraints may be. Because there's a lot of companies out there that are doing things that you can look at, you can learn from, and you can actually go, maybe I could try something similar in my category. So please keep sending or keep looking at these types of examples and think about what you can do in your category as a result.
100%. Now, Nancy's been getting busy in the chat and doing some top tens, which is fantastic. A lot of demand for that. I've just reposted her comment there, which includes her phone number. So give her a call, and she will, and we will fish out some top tens for you. Obviously, we've got top tens on all of these different measures and metrics. We normally do that as part of our little giveaway, little thank you for being with us. I thought I'd pivot a little bit since we're already onto that anyway. But if you would like to receive some more images from this Sainsbury's store in the UK, then please stick a Y in the chat now. So a whole bunch of other examples from across that store. Plenty of Ys. Oh, I got a WHY. Like it.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, good thinking. Somebody's on it this morning. Um, yeah, there's a whole bunch of different examples, and look, I think it's really great opportunity for some inspiration. As Andrew said, we don't see a lot of this stuff typically in Australia and New Zealand, and I neither of us are advocating for shooting it and spreading it all over the store, but combine it with those top tens, take some inspiration from another category, and all of a sudden you could be putting something on the table which could change the approach and could help you to back up your belief and your intention to drive category growth and collaboration with your partners. That is enough, I think, from us today. 45 minutes of what I hope you found was goodness to help you stand out. Insights from the Isles will be back again in 3 months.
2 months, October. I think we're doing it again.
2 months. 2 months it is. And between now and then, have a great time, folks. Take care. Keep in touch. All the best.